Today we're talking with Joanne Hungerman, and we're going to get to hear her story. So, hello to you.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Thanks for coming today.
No problem.
We are talking about your journey, and I know you've had a journey like the rest of us. Well, maybe not so much like the rest of us. That's the whole point, right? But we've all had journeys, and so we're just going to ask you a little bit about that. And I couldn't help but read in your note to me that your story begins in a very special way, and so I wondered if you could talk about that. You said it begins with the power of prayer, so we're just going to jump right into that. You also said throughout your young life you were sort of a medical mystery miracle. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Could you tell us about that?
Well, when I was born, I had some health issues, and they were, significant, and after that, the problems that I had with that, they had told my parents that I might not be a normal functioning person. So my mother prayed to the Blessed Mother, as all good young mothers do, and she prayed and had everybody praying, and as she likes to say, I'm not normal, but I am normal. so that's, and she always said, it was because, and she, as growing up, she always said, if you ever need anything, you always ask the Blessed Mother. So that's how my prayer that you always find, even though you don't think it's happening, like they say, you might not get the answer you want, but you will get an answer, so and it might take a while sometimes. And so.
But it sounds like you were healed at a certain level anyway. And that your prayers, your mother's
prayers have been answered, and lived a lot longer than they thought I would. So.
Wow, that is amazing. Well, it started you off on a really good foot, and I'm wondering, did that stick with you, or was there ever a challenge that you had to overcome faith-wise? After that?
Not really. No. I always knew, my mother always said I had guardian angels and, watching over me. I needed more than one, but...
Well, some of us do.
So, but that, and Blessed Mother would always take care of me. And she always would say that the Blessed Mother had a special mission for me. And, like with all the Respect Life stuff, was like, the Blessed Mother saved you for something special. So.
Well, we're going to get into all of that. So I'm just wondering if you had a sense of what prayer was early, or did that develop later? I mean, what is a good prayer? I mean, I think a lot of Catholics probably wonder.
I always use the regular, the tried and true ones. The Hail Mary is always a beautiful one, and you always, it's good to go and, like anytime you want something, you go and ask your mother. So Blessed Mother is our mother. So if you want something, you go and ask her. So that's always the tried and true one.
Well, that's a really good way to describe it. I think we're all used to going to Mom. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and Dad would say no, and you'd go to Mom, and she'd say yes. So, or intercede for you. So and try to work. So that's what the Blessed Mother is. She intercedes for us.
That's wonderful. That's a great thing for us all. So as a teenager, then, did that change at all for you? Did it become more fervent as you got older? Can you describe how things developed? Or
not really. I just always, was Catholic, practicing, going to church, and doing just the regular prayers and stuff like that. Just being a normal kid, adult, and not thinking as much as your faith when you're, teenage. You don't think of it as much or whatever. It's just there, kind of. It's not until you get a little bit older and stuff like that when you, start. And then there was, because of what I went through as a baby, possibly when I was pregnant, it could pass on, do things with my kid. So that was a little scary too. And of course, I went to my mother and asked her, and both of my children are all healthy and normal. So, so that worked.
Well, you have a wonderful story to pass on to your children. What a wonderful gift to give them, that you're a prayer miracle yourself, right?
Right. Yep.
Did that impact them in any special way? That
Not too much. Not too much. I didn't, didn't share as much, with that. So, yeah.
Well, now you are very involved in Respect for Life, so I just thought maybe you could sort of walk us through how did Respect for Life get started? Do you have a story about that?
And how here? I have a story how I got involved in it here, and I won't mention names, but she knows who she is. There was a group here, and I was friends with one of the ladies, and she's like, well, you should join it. And at that point, my kids were like out of the catechesis for school, that I needed to be involved in. So I was like, okay, I needed something else. So I joined the group. And like at first I was like, yeah, maybe not, didn't want to go. And every time there was a meeting, she would email me, you are coming to the meeting, right?
Hey, that's a great technique. Yeah. We're going to get that on film and really spread that out. That's a great one.
I was like, okay, yes, sure. And I had to go because she would make sure. And I always say it's all her fault, but I'm involved in it because she got me in it, and she's been involved too.
So what do you do in Respect for Life? What are some of the activities or the things that you promote?
We have done a whole bunch of things. We do 40 Days for Life. We've done the National Night of Prayer. We've done, we've been involved in the marches in D.C. We've gone to D.C. We've gone to the ones in Annapolis. We have a Monday night rosary where we do the Rosary for Life every Monday night at 7 o'clock. So that's, some of the stuff. We had the movie, we sponsored the movie Unplanned when we did it at a movie theater. Then we had a showing here. We've been involved at the pregnancy center, helping them out and stuff like that.
Now, is this something that other churches do, or is this just St. Joseph's?
No, lots of other churches can. I don't know who, I don't talk as much with other churches, but
I just wondered if there was a chapter here and a chapter.
We're all together. Yeah, each church has their own, and there's quarterly meetings of different groups or the archdiocese group that you can meet and share your ideas and what things you've done, what things worked, commiserate about things that didn't work or how we could get the church on board with it or parishioners involved, that kind of thing. So
okay, so you've really been involved in growing this whole mission. Now, I think you said that you brought most of these, or were instrumental in bringing a lot of these things to St. Joseph.
Yes. When Kathy Reed was here, I would I would work with her and say, I want to do this, and she'd be like, okay, go ahead. And she would do the church part of it, advertising, whatever, and I would do the boots on the ground, kind of getting it together kind of thing.
Well, you guys were a good team then, weren't you?
Yes.
So it says that this has really touched you, what has touched you is that God has worked through this movement to accomplish great things. And so I'm wondering, what are some of the great things you've seen God accomplish here? Can you think of some examples?
Here? Well, and I know I wrote in my thing, in the power of prayer, and I always love to share the story of 40 days. I know other people are going to be talking about that, but I love the beginning of the movement and I don't know if you know, but it started with, because there was going to be an abortion facility built in College Station, Texas. And, a couple of the people met because they wanted to fight this, and they sat around this table and came up with, 40 days, great thing to do, praying for 40 days. It worked in the Bible, so they did their prayer and thing, and it just expanded from that. Just, 6 people sitting around a wooden table wondering what they could do to combat the evil that was growing in their, city, or was going to be built in their city. So they, did this, and they started praying, and now it's an international, thing. And they ended up building. They still did build the abortion facility there, but during this whole time of 40 Days for Life, it has closed, and it is now the international center for the 40 Days for Life. So talk about a 360. It went from, being one thing to being exactly the opposite. So
now, did that happen just there, or did that happen in other places?
Well, they've closed several, but they've closed, I'm trying to think now. I didn't have my numbers ready. They closed like 100, and I think 107, 108 abortion facilities like worldwide since 40 Days for Life started.
No kidding.
Yes, so that's exciting. But it's just like the first one that started the whole impetus for 40 Days was in College Station, Texas, and now it is the International Center for 40 Days for Life.
So now, I don't know if I is not following you, but is there a center in Maryland of 40 Days for Life?
There's not a center that we meet. I mean, they're offices. That's what it is. The offices, the international offices for 40 Days is there. We've had, I mean, yes, and there's 40 Days for Life, lots of them in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
And like we have the one at FemiCare that we have been involved in this year. That was a new thing we grew because we would always go to Hillcrest. And Hillcrest has been open for forever, which we're hoping will be, you know. But I'd say, you know, we pray there, but even though that one's not closed, maybe God used our prayers to close some of the others. Some of the other ones.
No, I'm not familiar with Hillcrest, so Hillcrest must be an abortion clinic.
Yes,
okay.
It is.
Okay.
It's on Route 40.
Okay.
In Catonsville.
Okay.
So that one's been open for forever.
Wow.
But FemiCare, which, Jay, you know, somebody else is talking about that, and you'll have Jay, but was the first time they've had an organized 40 Days for Life there. And I think that opened everybody's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and I know Father John went there, and that was great that he was there, and talking about it, and I mean, it was just wonderful. The first one we had there, whatever day we went, was the first one we had there, where there was close to, it was 20 to 30 people, and it was just wonderful. On a street corner in Owings Mills, praying the rosary.
Wow.
Like a whole group of us. And, you know, that makes, you don't even need, you know, we had signs too, but you don't even need signs. Like just to have people there living their faith and showing their faith on a street corner, it was wonderful.
Now, you know, I'm thinking, has the pandemic stopped any of this kind of activity? I mean, it sounds like it may have interrupted, but
No,
I mean, you can't interrupt prayer, but I just wondered if the activity.
No, we were there because 40 Days is like for 40 days. They have like their spring campaign and winter campaign. One's over like Lent, and then the other, I'm trying to think, the other one is to encompass, the fall one is from September to November to encompass Respect Life Month, October.
Oh, okay.
So it starts the end of September to the beginning of
I see.
November to encompass the whole Respect Life Month, October. So that way there. So
well, you sound like you're a busy lady
Yes.
with all of these things. Are there
Yes.
other things that you've been involved with at St. Joseph, or other ministries that you've been involved with?
Catholic Daughters, I guess that's a ministry, yes.
I think I've seen you there.
Yeah, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
Okay.
that's a wonderful group also. I said that's one of those groups for women where you can be as involved or not as involved as you want to be. And I think it's, and the, you know, if you can't, nobody comes up to you and says, okay, you didn't sign up for anything this
Right.
year, get doing. So that's a nice thing because you can be, you get an email, and if you can come and help, you do, and if you don't, well then you don't. So and there's always, we're always collecting something for somebody and different things. So some people, you know, like to go shopping, like to do kind of things like that. So that's a different way of doing that too. So yeah.
Well, is there anything that you would like to tell people if you were to recruit them to get involved with Respect for Life or 40 Days for Life? What would you tell them?
Respect for life? I mean, it is a Catholic thing to stand up for life. We're supposed to fight for those who have no voice. And I think it's really good that you would, you know, that it's a good group, and get involved with stuff where you're standing up and you're not by yourself when you go to 40 days. If you go when we're going, there's a group of us, all like-minded, all together, and we all, you know, pray together and, you know, are supporting each other. And it's very nice to stand there in a row and have everybody, you know, together. The marches in DC, they didn't have it this year, either one of them, but the marches in DC are always really, really good because you know, it's all camaraderie, and you go together. If we go on a bus, you're together, you're all with your parish, but you see so many people at these things, even the March in Annapolis, which is a wonderful, and I wrote a little thing. The March in Annapolis is nice because it's a short thing. A lot of people don't want to go to DC because that's a whole day event.
Sure.
The March in Annapolis it's the, you know, Maryland March for Life.
Sure.
It starts with a mass, and then, you know, like we took a bus last year. I got the Knights to pay for a bus for us. So hopefully this March maybe we can get them again. But we got on a bus. They dropped us at the church. We went in for mass. We went over, marched with everybody through the streets of Annapolis. Listened to the speeches. We went and had our Chick-fil-A dinner, and then you get right back on the bus and you drive. You know, they drove us home. Mm-hmm. So it was, and it's a nice, you know, to see Maryland, all Marylanders standing up for life and letting our legislators in Annapolis know that, you know, there are a lot of pro-life people in Maryland, and, you know, that are, you know, pro-life and fighting against abortion. So they can vote, and they know that there's some people that are supporting them. Yeah. So it's always nice to get out there and let them know that.
And that's what you were calling Lawyers Mall.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That really struck me.
Yeah.
You know, that you're really doing something on two fronts. I mean, really, you're expressing your faith and your commitment, but you're also being active politically in a non-combative, non-violent way.
Right.
And that's a wonderful
and it's
expression.
nice to let people know, that you're standing there. And you know, you may think, oh, I'm one person. Okay, what can I do? You know, what does one person do? But if this one person, you one person, you one person, you one person, we all go, and that's a crowd, and then that's letting them know, wait a second, we're not as, you know, pro-choice as, you know, everybody wants you to believe that Maryland is. So it's nice to let them all know. So it's nice, and it's nice there because they have, some of the legislators do come out to say hello, say some words, or, you know, it's just nice for them to know that some of their constituents are out there standing. When they announce the name and we all start cheering for them, you know, if they're in Carroll County or whatever, it's nice for them to hear that some of their constituents do support them. So it's always good to tell them to keep fighting the good fight, because they have people, you know, back home that support them.
Well, they need encouragement for that, and you know, you're a good encourager, obviously, on this topic, and I think you've encouraged us today too, so that there is something that one person can do. I like the clumping crowd effect here. That if you want to do something, you know, this is a great thing for you to be involved with. Right. Well, we're glad to have you here and to talk about Respect for Life, 40 Days for Life, and all of these things that you've been involved with. And we hope you don't run out of energy very soon, because we need you to keep up the fight, so to speak. So thank you. It's been great talking with Joanne Hungerman, and stay tuned for the next journey.